Why is it, Alan, that no matter how rotten I feel about things, when I get with you, you make me feel better?
That's simple. I'm a cute, warm, wonderful guy with the ability of making a woman happy beyond her wildest dreams.
No, that's not it. It's because you got chubby cheeks.
I knew it was one of the two.
Welcome to Night After Night, a podcast about 8 seasons in a row. Mr. Fernandes and...
Hey, I'm Chris Jayawardena. Hello.
Hey, yo, we're reviewing something that's very New Yorky. This is the television movie More Than Friends, which is directed by James Burrows and written by Rob Reiner and Phil Mishkin. It's a TV movie that Penny did with her husband, Rob Reiner, then husband, when they were married about 2 years before they divorced, correct?
I think they were still, they did the film, I think, 2 years before everything came down horribly.
Yeah, horribly. This was a request via our Twitter feed. When we hit a big milestone, we hit 50 subscribers on YouTube.
Right, that's right. That was for the 50 on YouTube, and then we hit the 100, which is for our next film, I think.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
we've done too many of those this year, so we'll definitely be slowing that down. But jumping into this film though, I was a little surprised. When we had the listing, we had like 4 different options, and this was the one that won out.
Yeah, I'm not surprised because this combines a lot of nice acting from Penny. Michael's in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
We also get a Linda Gillen. A little bit of Linda Gillen.
That's true.
There's a lot of little guest stars who pop up in here, and it's a nice, simple little period drama. It's very much a predecessor of When Harry Met Sally.
Very much so. Yeah.
You can kind of see Rob formulating stuff, which makes me wonder how much of Penny is in Sally Albright.
That's a very good question. Yeah. I was thinking about that today, especially given that it was a project he basically revisited like a decade later with his then new friend collaborator, Nora Ephron, who really punched up, the script. I mean, the story is about how Nora made When Harry Met Sally what it is, she absolutely, was the kind of the sort of the very necessary midwife or the really good stepmom to that project.
Yeah.
And I'm intrigued by that and how then so much of it is maintained over the these both when watching these projects. And I haven't seen When Harry Met Sally in a long time. It's been a long time since I last watched him. I want to say like about 8 to 10 years, I think. So. But this is the request. This is the one that was chosen. We actually went ahead and got the DVD for this, and but at the moment, for those of you that would like to have watched this as well, it is currently, as of this recording, in middle of November 2021 on the service Crackle, which is ad-supported video on demand.
Yes, and you can watch it online. You can watch it via Roku. It is among. It also has a lot of different TV shows that are slightly rare. You can watch the One Season Wonder spin-off from All in the Family, for instance, on there.
Hey.
It was a one-season spin-off, Gloria.
And does that have Meathead included for no extra charge, or do you have to pay extra for that?
Tragically, they get divorced before this show starts, which is why it tanked. Yeah. It tanked big time. Nobody wanted it to happen. Nobody wanted Gloria and Meathead to get divorced. They also have The Critic. I highly recommend The Critic.
Yes.
I love that show. So yeah, this movie spans from the 1950s into the 1970s. I believe we end in the 70s somewhere.
Yeah, all we know is that Nixon is president, according to there's a running bit in the movie where they never tell you what year it is. So what they do is they put a president somewhere, and I remember that's actually one of my notes in at the party in the beginning of the movie is that a president on the dresser?
The thing is that you can tell like we're in the 50s at the beginning because in the Still of the Night in the costumes are really nice. I'll say that much.
Yep.
And then we move into the hippie era later on. But there are certain patches where we don't feel like anything belongs to any era at all. So.
Yeah, and truthfully, there are scenes shot on the street in the 60s, and you see 70s cars just all over the place. They didn't even try.
Yeah. There's only so much you can do with a budget of a certain size, as we all know.
Absolutely.
Tragically.
Yep. But it's a decent effort. They tried. They got the music cuts that they needed. There's as we're going to get to later, talking about like Michael McKean's character, who does a very Bob Dylan sounding song that is wonderfully bleak. It sounds like the darker Spinal Tap tracks.
Yeah. I'm 100% sure that he had to have written that song, and it had to be cast off from something.
It feels so him. Yeah.
Yeah. He's not credited in the credits as having written it, but I would be shocked if it was one of his.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. It's they do. Fits and Starts do a decent job of setting an era, setting a mood, setting a feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think of Alan, and what do you think of Mattie?
So Mattie, I think, is very likable. I mean, I especially, so we, because as usual, like we do for our episodes, we watch this twice. And my second time watching this today, actually, before recording this, I really just started rooting for her right out the gate. There's something wonderfully subtle about her that you always kind of feel this sort of sense of mystery, which makes it very clear why Alan is attracted to her. Alan is interesting in that I feel like when he gets past himself, and like especially towards the end, he's a lot more sympathetic. But I have a counter that I believe I wanted to punch him in the dick about 7 times.
Oh God, I think I want to punch him in the dick about 8 times. Like,
there's probably an 8th that I'm just thinking. Yeah.
When I look at them together, even by the end of the movie, where like, she longs for this guy who will understand where she came from, who is her best friend, who will understand her to the end, but she's always going to want to run away and do the acting thing. Yeah. And I can't imagine how, maybe they reconcile it. Maybe he goes to LA with her. Mm-hmm. Maybe they get into a huge fight with her producer ex-fiance, because holy shit.
Oh, yeah.
God. Yeah. They never resolved that one.
Yep. Or nor did they resolve the issue like with their mother. Like, are they going to need parental permission to get married and all of that? I mean, there's definitely some loose ends in that third act.
We never even meet Alan's parents in this.
That's right. Yeah.
We do not. It's 100% about Mattie's mother sucking.
Yeah. Oh, geez.
And
the
unfortunately,
worst.
Sorry.
No, I was just saying she is the worst.
The worst. Honestly, this movie desperately needed a moment where Mattie tells her mom off.
Right.
She climbs the glass mountain that is success, all the way from the very bottom where she's doing amateur theater, then she moves up to doing commercials. Then she moves up, she ends up getting cast by chance in the sitcom takes off. And she climbs the glass mountain bit by bit. And we get no reaction from her mother on this one. And that's really annoying, especially since her mother is the one who basically drives the first breakup that they have.
Yeah, it's a very... I guess it's one of those weird things that feels kind of realistic in that sense, because if you're in Alan's shoes, you're not going to see all of that context. But at the same time, he would have an understanding of it. Yeah. So if because ostensibly, for folks who haven't seen the movie, or I guess, folks who have or haven't seen the film, it begins with the sound of the typewriter as we see pictures of, actual Rob and Penny when they were kids. Yeah. And it implies that all of his narration is the book that he's going to write. Yeah. That he is that Alan Corcus, the writer, is going to write. Yeah. And because of that, there's I think they're playing with that idea of like, well, there's certain things he's just not going to know because it's from his perspective. And the catch is there's so many scenes of Penny's Mattie, of Mattie on her own. Yeah. It doesn't that doesn't sell. That doesn't fly. It becomes inconsistent, which I think is one of the issues I feel with the script, is that it's inconsistency. And that's what later projects that Reiner wrote and directed, I feel, have as consistency. Yeah,
very much so. Princess Bride, all that stuff. Ooh, yeah. Man. He just directed Princess Bride, but he definitely develops chops as he goes along. I was actually gonna bring that up and bring up the fact that there are at least 2 scenes in this movie where it's likely Mattie would have told Alan about this, but he didn't pay witness to it. And I can buy her, she told him about the Coleman incident. She told him about, sleeping with Terry. So those are understandable anecdotes that he would have and shove into his novel. Everything else that we see of her solo, there's no backup for. I can't imagine her going into detail about how shitty her mother is about her not settling down.
Right. Or yeah, exactly. Yeah, and even like some of the because there's that scene where they're both at the TV studio when she does the commercial for the toilet bowl cleaner, and there's stuff that you see from her perspective. Oh, another one. Another one that feels disparate is the audition. And very clearly, she tells him nothing about Mr. Salmonella, Avery Salmonella.
Yeah. She does not want him to know that she flopped. She does not want him to know that this play is garbage. Right. She wants him to think that she is successful here. So no way in hell would she have told him any of this at any point in the relationship.
Right.
Even in the what? They lived together for what? A month? Like 2 weeks?
You mean in the apartment? That felt longer because wasn't it they say the next few months were the best months of my life or something like that?
So
I think is what the narration said. It was like a summer.
Summer.
Yeah, something like that.
Summer. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine her in like 3 to 4 months spilling that to him.
Right.
Because Jesus, that's personal baggage she would not tell nobody.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird, but yeah. Anyway, though, but what's kind of interesting though is that I wonder if part of the reason for this happening is because it's so vignette based. This is a very episodic kind of movie, which is kind of cool because we don't really see today, especially in mainstream film and even television, we don't really see these types of adventures for characters anymore, where we'll see kind of parallel paths and see like this sort of episodic, the sort of American spirit of adventure that was so common in the mid-century is really dead today. You're pretty much kind of locked to where you are. And I think it's, part of it's the cost and part of it's also just kind of socially, the types of jobs that you want to get. You often have to go to school or do practice and training and apprenticeship for, internships and et cetera for damn long. Yeah. So it allows though these amazing cameos. So like Dabney Coleman and, and Michael McKean and I think it's Howard Hesseman as the,
yes, it is.
Oh, right. The director guy was the producer director who she gets engaged. I can't remember the character's name. Shit.
You can go for it. Go.
I can't find it.
We're gonna get onto this later, but the wonderful Joe Pantoliano portrays Rob Reiner's character's best friend. He portrays Alan's best friend.
Yes, Ralph. Joey Pants. He is great. I also love that there's that bit where because I love that Ralph is like, he's both the best and worst wingman because he's super like any borough New Yorker that, I always hear the stories of how, your best buddy is there for you, but they're going to bust your balls. Yeah. They're always going to bust you. Yeah. And so, he'll have those moments. And one of my favorites is when he gets it out of Alan that he's going to propose. He's going to propose to Mattie. He's going to try to, and he's like, what do you got in the bottle there, Alan? What do you got? It's like, it's got a cork. Is it something special? It's like, no, it's nothing. It's got a cork in it. Give it to me. And he grabs the bag and he's yelling at him. And I realize, because it's Joey, seeing him, I should say Joe, because as far as I know, you only call him Joey really if you're like, informally know him, and I don't. But he's wearing practically one of the same outfits he wore in Bound. And when you think about it, the white tank top, the chain around the neck, the open button down shirt, and the tan slacks. Oh, very noir.
Very noir. I love the friendship between these two. It's so much fun.
Mm-hmm. I even love the little encounter because as being the best buddy, he's known him since high school, and so the beginning of the film where Alan and Mattie go to the makeout party. There's that bit where they sort of kick Joey and his date, when he's trying to score in the bedroom, kick him out so that they can make out in there. And
Yeah.
there, and I love that instead of saying it to Alan, Ralph says, "I kept it warm for you," to Mattie. And I love the way that it gets Penny to break, and then I think she like pats him on the back or on the butt or something, like slaps him. And it's a great little natural touch. I love that in the beginning.
Yeah, it's cute. I noticed that too. It's adorable. Yeah, when I sit there and I watch this film, I absolutely sympathize with Mattie more than I sympathize with Alan, even though Alan is a writer and I understand what he's going through, trying to compartmentalize his dream of becoming the novelist with having to support himself via English teaching.
Mm-hmm.
With a bunch of cut-up kids who escaped Mr. Cotter's classroom.
Mm-hmm.
God, were they all imported from like room 222 or that? There's a kid with a huge white guy afro.
Oh my God. That afro is a choice. That the facial expression, the like, I'm just waiting for like a little bubble to pop out and for him to just go like a fish, like blub.
Yeah. The thing about it is, white guy afros were not de rigueur in the era this was set in, which I think we're supposed to be somewhere in the mid 1960s.
Yeah, because I think. I'm trying to remember. This is before we see the photo of. It's before. That's right. He says after 3 years of getting rejected for being a writer, which would have put him. Yeah, this would have been around 66, wouldn't it?
Yeah, 66, around there. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Which is a little bit early. Just a little bit early for white guy afros.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Yeah. Because then we move on and we get into the late 60s and we're like somewhere in the very early 70s by the time the movie ends.
Yeah,
kind
of
of what the timeline is.
Something like that. Yeah.
The interesting thing though about it is how you can feel the natural battling rhythms that Penny and Rob had as a married couple when you watch this movie.
Mm-hmm.
You can absolutely imagine that this is how they used to fight. This is how they used to talk about things. When you sit there and you watch them kind of, try to work towards admitting that they're even affectionate about one another. And they go from, like, being teenagers to being young adults to being actual adults with paying jobs. You can kind of see the way that changes, and yet it doesn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's these different stages, and it wasn't really until I watched it the second time I began to see how clearly they tried to emulate those parts of themselves, and in the way that they interact with each other, as well as just the way they sort of present themselves to the audience in character. I thought was really interesting. But yeah, it's this strange glimpse. And, when it comes to Hollywood and comes to these types of films and stories, it's always interesting when the real life stuff bleeds in. I mean, I say interesting, but I guess like it's a unique experience. So there's something novel about it,
indeed.
Which is almost, I have, and I think part of it is my own experiences with it. There's kind of almost a mixed feeling, because when you get something too autobiographical, like there is an element of, what's the phrase? Self-aggrandizement.
There you go, self-aggrandizement. That's what you're going for. Yeah. You kind of want to keep the fictional wall up.
Mm-hmm. And because you want to create the myth in a way. Because I mean, when we now kind of understand about their relationship is that within a few years, I mean, things got pretty rough, and the fighting got more intense. And when they actually went through the proceedings, it was challenging. And, I don't know all the full details. I know a little bit from what you've talked to me about, but I mean, if Penny was having that bad of a reaction, and I'm sure, Rob was not having an easy time either. I guess what I mean is like, there's sort of a mythologizing that happens with these types of pictures. And there are some people that just learn how to collaborate as romantic partners and as creative partners. And they're able to find ways in which it inspires. But as you're saying, like you used the word earlier, compartmentalize. And I'm curious to what extent the compartmentalization was involved in this, because that was even part of what made it difficult to like Alan for me the first time, was to separate you hurt Penny versus he's self-aware that Alan is a jerk, because, so he's playing him as a dope, not because he's playing a guy who believes he's cool and he's not, and that's why he's not cool.
Yeah, exactly. He's wise enough to know the difference. Like we don't know what he was going through because I don't think he talked to the press that much. I haven't read very many interviews that he gave around that time. But I do know that Penny had a rough time with divorce. She went through bouts of hysterical blindness, which she told People magazine. I believe it's in her autobiography, which I need to reread soon. I believe she mentioned it there. And Cindy would have to lead her to her marks. And this was during season 5 when all the wheels were falling off at Laverne and Shirley.
Right.
So, unnecessarily, because that was one hell of a banger of a season.
It really is. Yeah. As of this recording, we've finished season 5. I think we've discussed that already on the other special pods. But it's for our usual coverage. That's where we're at, and it's incredible to think that amount of good work. And I really think what it shows is how much the crew and the cast came around to try to make that happen as she was going through something. Because when one of your leads is going through something that challenging, which I'm sure made Cindy more than a little upset that when season 8 rolls around and the network is doing some shit that they don't kind of rally quite the same way.
Yeah, I know. Well, a lot of people blamed her husband at the time for that. I know Penny blamed her husband at the time for that because her husband was throwing up blocks and her husband was, I want to direct this. No, I want to play her husband. She can't be lying down. She needs to be sitting.
Ugh.
And that pissed off the directors, that pissed off Gary, that pissed off Penny. Cindy was taking his side because in her very own words, I thought I was in love. So it was a mess. And so Penny blamed him 100% for it. Gary blamed him 100% for it. Cindy blamed the network. And she still blames the network, I believe, for screwing her around when she was incredibly pregnant and ready to almost give birth on set. They scheduled her on her due date.
That is still, that's still insane. Yeah. And that is, I'm kind of, because I'm be curious to look into the history as to whether SAG was going to get involved in that because, it still would have been AFTRA at the time.
Yeah. Yes.
Because they hadn't, they only merged like 10 years ago. Yeah. So I am intrigued to know more. I would like to know more. Yeah. But anyway, back on to track here though with this.
Cindy doesn't talk about it in her autobiography, but there are plenty of articles that were about it. They did settle out of court. I don't know who got involved aside from Cindy suing the production company, suing Paramount, and them counter-suing her, and all that happening. So I don't know. So I don't know what in the end how much they settled for, what they settled for, etc. But eventually, all wounds were mended by the time both Penny and Gary passed. So at least that happened. That's good.
At least it did, yeah. Anywho, but back onto More Than Friends, because speaking of the crew rallying around and things like that, so unfortunately, I tend to really like going really hardcore into these when we do these reviews and start looking up all the actors and crew members and stuff like that. The main thing I think that we at least can talk about though is that this was James Burrows, who is essentially a sitcom. He is the man, the myth. He's like practically a god. The man is still kicking today. He's still directing. He's still directing TV to the point that 3 episodes of he did 3 episodes of Be Positive in 2020, which it looks like is a Thomas Middleditch, Annalee Ashford series, CBS. Yes. So what's cool though to see with More Than Friends is this is Burrows getting to make like a movie, and he's getting to work on location. He's getting to work with, in many cases, actors who either were film actors or people who had the experience in stage to do more of that kind of theatrical work. My mom's jaw dropped when she noticed it was Kay Medford, as Gertie, as mom.
Yes. That's adorable. I love that. Yeah. And some of them were just TV actors that had never done anything outside of this.
Exactly. Precisely. But or at the very least, some of them were, they were getting there. They were starting to, they were on their way. Carl Gottlieb is in this,
Yes. Yes, he is.
So yeah.
This is Dabney Coleman before 9 to 5, which, kind of exploded his career and got him the various curmudgeonly roles. And this is Michael several years before Spinal Tap.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so it's a lot of interesting casting choices. You could tell, who's doing Rob and Penny a favor here and who's not doing Rob and Penny a favor here and who knew the director. The casting is really good. Casting's really good. Yep.
Yeah, it's shot well. I mean, I'm looking up the anyone who did who were the editors, who was all that stuff, and I mean,
yes.
The editor was mostly just a Love American style editor, a lot of TV, did some ADR recording and just kind of minor things here and there. But one of the DPs is Sol Negrin, who did a bunch of Kojak in the mid to late 70s. So I mean, that's awesome. The kind of, these were people of that time that were doing, I guess my point is they were doing stuff,
Yes. Busy people.
And that's kind of, I'm drawn to this movie because of the fact that it's a attempt similar to films like The Goodbye Girl or The Landlord or what have you, or even the Odd Couple movie. They're these poignant but funny, the place between, say, the Dick Van Dyke Show and John Cassavetes.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's really interesting, And, some episodes of Dick Van Dyke could honestly have been directed by Cassavetes.
Yeah, that's true.
Walnuts. Come on, imagine it might look like a walnut directed by Cassavetes.
I mean, then the walnuts would have then had their own existential dread to be filled with, yes. And then have their own plot. They would have had a plot arc where they were this hive mind consciousness of alien life that was, and that they really were a symbol of the Mary Tyler Moore, the wife of Mary, getting older, and how she's feeling like my eggs are going to go, and I won't be able to be a mother anymore, and how just like some anyway.
I was gonna say I did have a kid.
Do you realize this is the point, by the way, where everyone realizes, yes, I have seen some Cassavetes movies. I've seen 2 of them.
Yes.
Not in a long time. I've seen a lot more Cronenberg movies recently than I have Cassavetes movies.
That's something. It's still something. It's better than nothing. It's better than having seen none at all.
Yeah, I've seen, I watched Husbands, which was incredible and in my opinion, underrated. And I watched Shadows. Shadows was really good.
Yeah. That one actually is really good. God, it's been ages. It's been a long time since I have watched his stuff.
Anyway, so back on track, focusing on More Than Friends. I'm getting very tangented, which is unfortunate because I mean, I love how natural these scenes look, and coming off of all the Laverne and Shirley, just getting to see all of this location footage is fantastic. They have really good cinematography for the night scenes in particular, have this really dirty, grainy look that captures that 70s New York we love from the movies.
Yeah. There's a really nice shot where Alan and Mattie are sitting there eating a pizza before he offers to go sex her up for the first time. And they're sitting there eating the pizza, and there's this group of teenagers who are just hanging out in the background next to their 50s, their late 50s, early 60s cars.
Mm-hmm.
And you tend to notice that. You tend to notice them, and it's just really good work.
Exactly. We can't mention the pizza place without mentioning the name.
Yeah. What's the name? Go for it.
It was Frank's Pizza.
Oh yeah, call back.
And there's even a bit where he's starting to say he's trying to talk with her about it as they're going back to go get their slices or get their napkins, and she goes, "Not in front of Frank."
In front of Frank. Don't stick your tongue in my mouth in my front of Frank. Damn it.
Oh God, Muffin. I'm going to
Muffin.
Yeah, Pop, what do you do? What? I got my bald friend over here.
Don't let him stick his tongue in your mouth, Muffin. Pop, you're embarrassing me, Pop. I can't do a Laverne impression anyway. I can do a Frank because it just involves yelling. Anyway. Okay.
But anyway, yeah. But that's the thing, though. I mean, it's got these little references and bits. I mean, I remember you introducing me to this movie through the bit where Terry Christopher, played by Michael McKean, comes over and says, "I feel like I've known you, like in another life,
the past life."
Yeah, past life. That's what. It's like, wow, that's even before kindergarten.
I love that scene for multiple reasons. First of all, it's because for once they have obviously been playing this dynamic on Laverne and Shirley for ages, where he's pining after her character, and she is not into it. Here we get the reverse dynamic. She gets to pine after his character, and he's kind of oblivious, and he's pretty interested in dicking around.
Mm-hmm.
And the way Terry kind of opens up to the idea of taking Mattie on, so to speak, via that peanut presentation, and all I could think of is Princess Bride. Again, anybody want a peanut?
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
And just, so angry, and you were so loud. He just wrote the song not as an actual protest song because he wanted to make money.
Yep, he wanted to go gold in a week. Yeah.
Gold in a week. Gold in a week, gold in a week, gold in a week.
Yeah, it's quite a moment. It's quite a moment. I actually have the lyrics. I wrote down some of the lyrics of the song. Yeah, it's very like, all the stretches are stretched, and even the doctors are retching, but I don't care because they're over there, and as long as they don't come near, I'll stay here. He's got the harmonica. And I love, he even is the kind of jackass that has a girl up on stage put the harmonica in his mouth for him.
Yeah.
And
it's a great touch. It's great detail.
And the exchange that Mattie has with the hippie in training, played by Linda Gillen.
Yes.
Is he going with that harmonica holder? No, she holds anyone's harmonica.
It's a great line. And then she starts going over his astrological chart.
Yes. And asking about whether it's like, do you meditate? Shake head. You mean you don't have a mantra? No, I have a Volvo, which my mom got a huge laugh out of.
It's a great line.
God. And one of my favorite parts of this scene, and this is one of those great little, like, great staging moments that, like, director, actor, they just come up with this idea that, like, I don't know who came up with this idea, but I thought this was brilliant.
Yeah.
When he stands up, he's been sitting on a chair playing acoustic guitar and doing essentially this solo song, which I think is hilarious because he's got the whole band behind him doing nothing. And when he stands up, he's got this classy jacket, and underneath is this shitty sport jersey.
That is a Celtics jersey. He's wearing a Celtics jersey. It's green.
I love that.
I love it so.
It's because I guess what I mean is that there are people that found ways to mix blue collar fashion and high class fashion really well. There have been rock groups that have done that since the beginning. I mean, the Beatles did it.
Yes. This
isn't it, which makes him look like even more of an asshole, which I think is great.
I actually love that outfit. So, he also has on these bell-bottom jeans, and he's wearing a bandana on one of his legs.
Oh God, that's right. Yes.
Tied to one of his knees. And you can tell that the character is just striving for, like, desperately for, like, relevant coolness. His band probably had, like, maybe 2-3 hits and then drowned in a sea of psychedelics. Never even made it to Woodstock, likely, but...
no, they probably died in a plane crash first.
Oh, God. Poor things. I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't go so far as to give them a Leonard Skinner kind of ending.
Well, I'm not saying that every band that died in a plane crash was Leonard Skinner. I mean, lots of people died in a plane. I mean, the Eagles almost went down in one. That's apparently where the Almost Famous scene comes from. Is that was what they suspect is based on what people have deduced is that was probably the Eagles that scene happens in, or happened to, I should say.
It happened to a lot of people. A lot of people died tragically and unfortunately that way. A lot of musicians. But yes, anyway, now that we dragged everybody down, I wonder how long Terry and Laverne, Jesus Christ!
Oh, we're keeping this in. We are so keeping it in. We're keeping this in.
The thin veiling. The veiling is thin. You're cutting that out anyway. I wonder how long Terry and Mattie were supposed to have lived together.
Mm-hmm.
Because, my guess is maybe a few months.
That's what it seemed like.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Because she gets to meet his guru, and he has a parrot that he's trained to ask for marijuana.
Polly wanna fix? Yeah. I love that the guru is that opened at Caesar's Palace was 9 years old.
Yeah, because of course.
Yeah, because of course. Is he? I have to ask though. After that many months of dealing with this crap, is he still the cutest frog she's ever seen?
Possibly. Still the cutest frog I've ever seen. Anyway, look. If a 30-ish Michael McKean came to me and asked me to do a 4-way and told me not to wear a bra, I would do it.
Future me, keep that in, please. My girlfriend has this on record now.
I cannot blame Mattie at all for going there, because who wouldn't? I know a lot of people who would go there.
Mm-hmm.
Let's put it that way.
Yeah, we have a lot of McKean fans. He is. I will say, dude's handsome in this, and I do have my note here. I think, which is I was like, oh God. Okay, Future me may have to cut this part out. 4-way, Mattie, come on, get some flour with your bee stinger.
Oh. She should go there. She should have gone there. I would have gone there anyway.
And they were cute. They were cute. Sky and Wind. I love her giggling about them.
Yeah. I'm Sky.
I'm Wind.
And the Sky and Wind here to see you. And honestly, when you look at this scene and you look at how Michael and Penny's on-screen chemistry changes with these two characters versus what they play as Lenny and Laverne, it's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
There's still that note where you absolutely believe that these two characters are into each other. So they were good at projecting that kind of chemistry. Yeah,
which, I mean, that takes work. That takes work.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Did your mom have something cute to say about this whole scene?
Oh, about this, yes. So I watched this with my mom, of course, and she really enjoyed this as well. She really liked the movie, and she reached a point where we get to the Terry Christopher band member, the frogs, etc., and before it even cut to that scene, my mom figured out it was Michael's character because his name was in the credits. And she's like, that's Michael's. That's gonna be Michael, isn't it? It's him. I knew it.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Your mom's great.
Yeah, love you, Ma.
Love you, Ma. Hey, Chris's Ma.
So anyway, yeah, so I mean, we're jumping all around over the place. There's all these different episodic moments and all that sort of stuff. Oh, that's right. Actually, going over my notes. Another Laverne and Shirley reference we do want to bring up, though. My mom realized that the tree that Alan's bringing into their apartment about 15 minutes, 20 minutes earlier in the movie, that's a rubber tree plant.
Oh, never knows an ant
can't move a rubber tree plant. Someday we're going to get synchronized. Someday we're going to be filming this, recording this in the same space. We're going to sing together. We're going to do the duet. It's going to be super cute. And all of our fans are going to gag and vomit. And you'll like it.
And you'll all puke everywhere. Yay!
It'll help with your food poisoning.
Yeah, that's adorable. I was gonna say, now, which of Mattie's extra relationships do you think might have survived or worked out or been healthier for her than Alan?
I don't think any of them. I think they all were terrible. I think the college director would have been one of the worst. I think Terry Christopher would have gotten her hooked on some nasty drugs down the line, probably like some heavy psychotropics or something. That would have been bad. Because, I mean, imagine if he went through a heroin phase. Jesus.
God, Jesus. Imagine that Jim Morrison heroin phase. Jesus. Oh, man.
Oh, yeah. Then that's it. That's donezo. and the director was going to use her up and spit her out. That's the thing.
Yep.
The producer guy, I call him a director because of the fact that the whole going to the Cannes Film Festival thing had a very like, ooh, do Polanski to me, you know? And it's not to say that I don't think Polanski loves Sharon Tate. I think he loves Sharon Tate. I just think that there were a lot of people like that, like Bogdanovich being another contemporary, that they attached to these sort of like, oh, they're a star, they're this, and they essentially wore them like arm candy. Because the idea, you know, in the 70s, as the 70s got started, producers and directors were becoming like rock stars. You had Bob Evans and Bogdanovich as an example. I mean, Bogdanovich was going to the Playboy Mansion, you know, and they were these people that were acting so cool about all that. The catch is many of those people ended, you know, often the wives or girlfriends they had in the 70s, they ended up having lots of problems because of the trauma they dealt with being together with those people, you know, and so it's messed up.
That actually reminded me of when you said Playboy Mansion. I said, God, that's how he met Dorothy Stratton. That's how that happens.
Yeah. God, that's right.
Popped
That's
right
right.
in my head.
That feeling in my gut.
Yeah.
Getting a cheaty ache.
Well, Alan barely steps out on Mattie, so to speak, in this movie. He only has one assassination, and then he gets interrupted because Mattie needs him.
He did say they had had a physical relationship for some time, and she knew all the parts of his anatomy in Latin, which sounds incredibly wonderful and incredibly annoying. The only nurse, one of the sorry, actually no, what am I saying? I've actually known 4 RNs in my life, actually.
Yeah, there you go.
4, maybe more actually. But yeah, I will say one of them definitely had quite the sex drive and was very exhibitionist about it, and so it reminded me of her, and that made me smile a bit.
There you go. Like, honestly, that part isn't like that part was almost, you know, kind to Alan. He kind of deserved that respite from the Mattie drama, so to speak.
I mean, he definitely
contributes to it.
Right. Yeah. What I find in Alan over the movie is there's a weird, like, he has difficulty not just listening, but doing things other than the way that he feels he has to. And I believe that's one of my one of the reasons I had a lot of issues watching the film the first like time and a half, because we had watched this together. God, that was like 8 or 9 months ago, or almost a year ago, I think now, that we watched it in parts when it was on YouTube, and that we had to like find different sourced versions. I used to be like Alan. Like, you know, I personally used to be kind of like that. And like, especially like 10, 15 years ago, where it's like, there's a certain way you're going to do a thing. And so what I find, he's being too stubborn. He gets kind of stuck in a certain mindset. And think of like, even down to the first moment of him trying to get Mattie to make out with him. Because even when she says yes, he gets all insecure and nervous because he feels like he's got to do things a certain way rather than just relaxing and figuring out what feels natural. And that keeps kind of happening. So my point is, when you see him trying to make Mattie feel better, when he tries to cheer up, when he tries to be a goofball, when he does all these different things, they're not real actionable things, because it's a way for him to keep his own little sort of secure bubble and to he gets to feel like he's doing something rather than him actually doing something. He thinks he's doing something.
Yeah, he kind of thinks he's controlling the narrative in some way. In reality, in a way she's controlling it, but in a way she doesn't honestly know if she wants to be married or if she wants to act. It seems like at the end of the movie she figures out, oh, I don't want to act, I want to be with Alan, or maybe I want to be with Alan and work on the show, which is, again, gonna be pretty difficult when you just dumped your producer, hon.
Yeah.
Like, it's gonna be really difficult for you. You're gonna have to skate uphill, and the end of the movie makes me wonder this one simple question. How do you think that relationship ended after the fade out? Did they get married and they went to Hollywood together and she battled back or went back to her series and he wrote scripts and did his novels? Or did they break up in resentment because she realized, oh shit, you know, I gave all this shit up for you? and you are not as receptive as I hoped you would be for me giving it up.
My answer to that comes in the form of the question, how much did Alan change having finally written the book?
That's a good question.
It's made very clear he never wrote the book until she left for the third time. She was gone for the third time.
Yeah.
And that was where he finally had the space to do it. And he was so heartbroken. The first time that they kind of have this sort of separation period, which is, kind of the college thing. And that's after, is in college, and the first time goes poorly, which we should talk about later, but we're focusing on the end first for a second. This is like, wow, this is turning into the story of us now. It's all this nonlinear time jumping.
Yeah, I was gonna say. The other Rob Reiner over to comedy.
Yeah, which I've been thinking about that one a lot in the last few years. I need to watch that again. The catch that I feel with him is that if he felt the heartbreak and that's what got him to write his book, did that mean he had made a serious and honest change? That is my question. Because that change could not only just keep the relationship going, but be part of a momentum. Because what's interesting about the way this film concludes, and I was very careful. My mother asked if this had a sad ending or not, and I let her know I am not going to say. And part of it was because I knew that she was going to react to that line. I want to tell you that Alan and Mattie got back together and lived happily ever after. So I will. And where he is just like, all right, so screw it. I'm going to tell you that. I'm going to let you believe it. And that finale, though, is very poignant and very vulnerable for Alan. It's the moment I like Alan the most, when he's just honest and he's scared and he loves her and he wants her. She is everything. There is even sort of a sense that if she's, if something happened and he had to that is his one manuscript in his hands, and he had to throw it off that bridge onto the train tracks to save her, to have her in his life, he would do it.
Yeah.
And that type of, and now mind you, that type of love and to the point of like obsession is a little scary and dangerous too, emotionally, for both the person and the person they care about. But yeah, I apologize. This is such a long answer to your question, but I do feel that if it was going to work, it would depend on how much they both change, because what you also see in the conclusion is how much Mattie has grown. You see Mattie get more confident as the film goes on.
Yeah.
And when you see that really conclude, where now it's like she's got the show, and I think the fact that she realized that she made it, she's being interviewed on TV, she's one of the 3 leads in this big, sitcom TV show. And even though she makes mistakes, it works out anyway.
Yeah.
That gives her this strength and confidence. So the question, because what I've learned about, at least in my feeling about what I've started to learn about relationships, and I feel even with you, my darling, my love, that I've really have reached this point of understanding with you through that, is that the healthy degrees of confidence help people work together, because there is an element of together. There's a companionship.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, that became this huge thing, but nothing is written in stone.
Yeah.
And I think that he still has enough of his own ego and enough of his head up his ass. Something's going to probably go wrong. And if they do divorce, it's not going to be immediately. It's not going to be in 3 to 5 years. It'll be more like 10 to 15. And it would probably be messy and horrible and sad, and they'd have kids and all of that. So that would be more of what I would suspect. Anyway, I hope that answers the question.
I can see that happening. I think she's always going to be torn between this traditional mode of what being a woman is, what her mother told her a woman is, which is you are a housewife, you get married, you have kids, you find security, you go to Boca every summer.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay. That's safety. And on the other hand, she's always going to want to be this daring actress that she is at core. Because you can see how much crap she climbed through just to get a single commercial where she's scrubbing a toilet and dancing at a toilet, at a urinal cake, basically. All those little floating toilet bleach things.
Yeah.
And
Which a toilet bleach thing being green, an actual green lily pad. Somebody in the department let the marketing run run the development too much.
Yeah. Oh, there actually are toilet bowl cleaners that are green out there that actually do 1,000 flushes. I know they have the kind that's blue. They also have kind that's green. I swear that exists. That's somewhere out in the world.
My mind is blown.
But I think, if she gave up acting for Alan as much as she loves him, she would look at him and start resenting him after a while. She could love him as much as anybody has loved anybody else in the history of humanity. And she will still be driven to act. She will still have that intense inward compulsion act. It's like, I could not give up writing for anybody or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And so, do I think she would ever walk away from that sitcom completely and, go back to New York and be a writer's wife and try to negotiate the struggle of no more baseball on Sunday, but brunch with my mother on Saturday, so I don't have to be alone with her? I don't think, she would go back there. That she should go back there. I don't think the relationship will last through that.
Yeah. Which again comes back to, did he grow up enough to say, I'm going to drop everything and go with you? Because that's the part that was a turning point for me in my perspective about, Alan was, maybe not a turning point, but it definitely was a landmark, is he's going to propose. He's got the champagne. Yep. She shows up like this whirlwind and she grabs all of her stuff. And she's even got this to-do list. 1, this, 2, this, 3, this, 4, kiss Alan goodbye. And then she kisses him goodbye and walks out. Yeah. That is when you get on the next flight and you go after her.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that is good old hunting. I need to go see about a girl.
Yeah. And then he doesn't do it. And then she bangs Terry Christopher.
No. That was for the Gals in the Sky. Yeah.
That's right. That's the last time. That's the very last time after they have their third montage. And
At least that one was cute. At least that wasn't filler.
Very cute. Yeah, that was my favorite montage out of the 3 montages. This movie has a lot of montages in it. It doesn't need to have as many montages as it does.
It's filler. That's the thing. It's filler. It makes it feel cute. I mean, my mom loved how the ice cream was melting all over her at the softball game like a little kid. And the moving in has got a couple of lines, but like you could have cut that down to like 1 or 2 shots and been done. Yeah. That's the catch. It's filler. It's cute, but it's filler.
I would have kept the whole bit with the box. Just
that's what. Exactly. I would have kept the bit with the box. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. Because a lot of it didn't need to exist, but yeah. Like I said, I don't know if they would survive. They would have to learn how to yield. And I get the sensation that the movie is trying to tell us that she climbs to the top of the glass mountain, but she cannot find anybody she relates to, and Alan's not there, and she's without her soulmate, so she gives it all up because acting's not that important to her.
Right. Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
It's the whole, what's the point in making it to the top of Everest if there's no one there to share the journey? And it's like, give me a break.
Yeah.
Not in this case. That analogy doesn't count here.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense for her.
No.
It makes no sense for her at all. Because consider how many hoops she has jumped through just to be on television. And you do not buy that she would do that. So, yeah. That's just my little 2 cents on it. They would have to both learn how to yield. Yeah. And I don't know if either of them... It depends on how much, like you said, the last 2 scenes of this movie take place within Alan's novel and how much of it takes place within reality. So, the film's reality. So, yeah.
Yeah. Good answer. I like it.
Yeah. Because you have to be an adult if you're going to do that stuff. You have to be a grown-up.
Yep. And one of the issues I find is that there is there's these clues throughout the film that you see. Part of the reason she likes going back to Alan is there is a sense of familiarity, because there are times he's like her mom, and he's manipulative and guilt tripping, and his neuroses causes this guilt tripping, which she knows and she feels that she can tolerate and deal with. And we have him break up with her first,
Yes.
with breakup number 2, really.
Yes.
And then the third one is she runs off.
Yes.
And then they kind of have to come back in the middle. And I just feel like that's a, again, it just, as I guess, not to belabor the point, but how much of that has changed? How much of that has evolved?
Yes.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Because it seems like LA changed her. How much would it change him?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and even if LA changes her, even though actually she leaves LA to avoid being changed, really, because she wants to sit there and play stoop ball outside, and there's this impression that she doesn't care about all the extra little bits of business, and that you can't be in acting if you don't care about owning a studio or wanting to produce something, which is bizarre, because not every actor does that or wants to do that.
Oh, totally. Yeah, there's just people who are just good working actors. They're character actors. They're regular TV actors. I mean, we talk about them all the time on Night After Night.
Yes, we do. Darn well. But yeah. So I look at the two of them, and I think, bless their hearts, this probably ain't going to last forever. You'll be happy for a little while, and you're going to spend the rest of your lives chasing each other.
Mm-hmm.
Really, is what's going to happen. Either they're going to do that, or they'll get married, they'll have a couple of kids, and resentment will set in because... Or she'll become a stage mom. God, can you imagine her becoming a stage mom? I don't think she'd do that to her kids after what her mom did to her. But,
I'd like to think that she wouldn't, but at the same time, I could also see Alan being have too little of a backbone to stop that from happening.
Yeah. And her having all of these unfulfilled dreams because I was that lady who was on that successful sitcom back in the 60s or the 70s, in this case. Remember me? Mm-hmm. Like I said, you don't build up something as being someone's passion and someone's drive and then have them to go, well, screw it, I'm not entirely content because my ex-boyfriend isn't here to play stickball with me. Yeah. I hear to play stoop ball, and I hear to bounce around ball, and it's like, okay.
I love how this we came from both sides here, where, and I don't disagree. I totally hear what you're saying. I agree that what it is about Mattie's independence and me telling Alan, get a goddamn backbone and stop being an idiot. Grow up. So it's like we're both yelling at them. Yeah. Why aren't we the best friends in a romantic comedy?
Yeah, there you go. God only knows. Because we're both exhausted. I'm writing things, but
anyway. Time.
Oh God. Oh Lord. Yeah.
But yeah. I'm trying to think of other stuff to mention. I mean, there's definitely those. So I did have a couple of different things to bring up as well throughout. Less necessarily lines, although there's some very good dialogue throughout. I feel like at times tonally, it almost like mixes the wrong kind of jokes for the kind of movie it is. It's why it feels in some respects like a TV movie or an inexperienced movie. We were talking about consistency.
Yeah.
There's that scene where she leaves, goes off to be in, Three Ladies in the Sky. And you cut to him, narrating, I took a different path and all of that. And it's implying like, oh God, he joined the church. He became a monk. He became a something. And then it turns out it's
Krishna.
And you realize he's actually in a God, Hare Krishna. Well, he is balding. He is at a restaurant, which is built inside of a church. Yeah. And it's an amazing joke and it's an amazing bit. But I don't think it fits in this movie because it's so insane. It's there's those lines of, it's like, can I get you some more bread rolls? And then the disco music. And it's like, do you want to play Pong? No, I just play backgammon in the catacombs. It's like, wow. And my mother was even like, this is kind of sacrilegious. I don't know about that. And then there's Joey again, Mr. Pantoliano, trying to score. And, and that's what leads to meeting Beverly, the nurse. And so it's like those scenes come up every once in a while. And like, as much as it is funny in some context, the whole singing Oklahoma after he loses his virginity.
Yes.
That is less a dick punch and more of a, I want to kick that man's balls up so high that they ping pong around his skull for an hour. Cause holy shit. I may have to bleep this part. We'll talk about this after, but you remember my note, right?
Yes. Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
You break her hymen, not her heart, you dick. And that is so those things happen in the film that like, and I'm curious if like there were anything like that popped out for you that maybe I just didn't catch or I didn't feel, quite stood out. But what did you feel come out that way?
Honestly, I'm trying to think about it, and it's like the anachronistic classroom scene is what stands out for me. Like,
oh my god, yes.
Because
all
those
the outfits
kids are so 70s. There's kids are so mid 70s. They didn't even have to try to hide. These kids are mid 70s.
Not to mention they all looked like they were at least 27.
Yeah. That needed better casting. They needed better casting, more period appropriate clothing, because everybody looks like they escaped from the 70s and we're supposed to be like in the mid 60s at the very least. So, as we said before, but that's what stood out for me that way. Actually, I do know of one restaurant that exists within like a few hours of me. I think it's about somewhere in New York. There's this place called the Jealous Monk. I don't know if it's monk based, but apparently it's medieval based. So
yeah, but that's I mean, it's medieval, but it's tangentially related. I mean, yeah, you can't talk medieval times without the Crusades and stuff like that. But
my favorite note, by the way, among all my notes, is Michael's eyebrows are almost completely invisible in that lighting.
Of course, you would notice that.
That's one of the things I noticed. But I'm allowed to stare just a little.
Yes, you are. You are allowed. Hey, as long as it's my bed that you're coming home to afterward.
There you go.
You can stare. You can stare and excite yourself as much as you like. Actually, that's my note. Yeah, it's who am I kidding? This is going to be Lisa's time to shine, and I just I stopped making notes after that point.
That was my actual note about that scene, and I love the fact that the camera loves almost everybody in this movie. There's a great camera. Penny looks amazing.
Yeah, Penny looks. God, yeah. Even Rob looks really handsome in this.
Yeah. They managed to find a hairpiece for him that looks tasteful and period accurate. So good on them for doing that.
Yep. Yeah, all the women look gorgeous. Even small parts like Claudette Nevins as Frances, the Dabney Coleman's wife.
That was great. She did a great job.
She was so good.
I love that she just didn't give a shit, and then Mattie gets really excited about having coffee. Right.
Yeah. Oh, my mother's did not expect her to laugh at that, but oh man, she laughed hard at the. It's like, come into the kitchen, slut. I'll make you some coffee.
I'm gonna go get coffee. Well, can I have the bottom sheet? You take the top sheet? It's like, oh, vey.
And I loved your anger that it wasn't her with Michael in bed like that.
Hey, yo. To be fair, he actually does end up quasi-shirtless in this movie, which was a rarity for him in this period. You get open shirt in Spinal Tap. His shirt gets ripped open by David Lander in Used Cars, which is coming up for us. And well, these are all rare events because he absolutely does not take anything off in the merch, surely. I'm going to just be shallow here. I'm just going to be really, really shallow and say how disappoints me.
So, Mr. McKean, if you are listening to this podcast, I will not apologize on my girlfriend's behalf. I will say you're welcome for me allowing this. And then I will also then say...
You gotta give no permission, I'm me.
Nice bod, Len. Well, hey, remember, I'm the one editing this podcast. I could cut all this out.
Yeah, you probably will.
Anyway. Anyway, but yeah, we'll get to the boobs that you want to see in the next one.
Yeah, there's so many boobs in the next one.
Boobs.
Boobs.
But yeah, I mean, there's all these like little. So I was just the anachronistic stuff is definitely it's eyebrow raising and chuckle worthy in some cases, but it's they do try. There's some scenes they're not even trying and I think they just it's like we don't got the budget for it, man. Just do it. Just get the shot. Do you want the shot or do you want it to be accurate? And it's rather sometimes you just would rather get the damn shot.
Yeah.
I also wanted to point out we mentioned this when we were watching it as well. This was definitely proof based on the personality, especially given how many actors from Laverne and Shirley are in this. They should have gone to New York and not Los Angeles. There are tons of benefits to going to California. I think that from what I've seen of seasons 6 and 7, that they definitely took advantage of some of those, and that's cool. Yeah. But man, the personality that you see in this and the New York culture and the look, that is Laverne and Shirley to me.
They should have moved to New York for multiple reasons. One of them is that everybody wanted to move to New York, but Gary said, no, we're going to LA because that way we can get more guest stars and boost the ratings.
Which did not help.
Does not help. What they got was Troy Donahue. And then they got, they got Charles Grodin in the most anachronistic appearance in the history of the show in season 7. They did not have that many celebrity cameos.
Right.
Yeah, there's a whole Charles Grodin episode coming right at us like a freight.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
You'll get there.
Yeah.
You will probably won't see it till summer, but man.
Yeah.
And it's a choice. That episode is a choice.
So anyway, but yeah, I mean, it definitely and especially I would have loved to have seen more location footage just because it just allows these kind of cute, as you were saying, the montage of them playing together, which is just so sweet. And there's something so tender about it and playful.
Yeah.
But
you
it's
can
funny.
imagine that they did this when they were little kids.
Absolutely.
The same way. So.
Yeah. And there's this great moment when they're bouncing the ball off the penny and the guy just walks in. It's like, they missed it. That's a penny. He took a penny. And they're both going after the old man. And he's like, I got my penny.
That's my penny.
Finders keepers.
Eat my ass, whippersnappers. Oh, God.
Yeah. Is there any other major stuff you want to cover, or do you feel like that's...
I'm trying to think about it. I was really wanted to mention how good the camera work is, because the camera work really is good. The cinematography really is good. For something with next to no budget, it's really good.
There are some one-er scenes, like pretty much the entire scene in the kitchen with Mattie and her mom. Most of that is one take. And it has got movements, pans, zooms, the works. I mean, they have as much choreography to do as the actors. And the actors blow it out of the water, and the cinematography captures everything.
Yeah, that's good. The whole bit was good. The actress who plays Penny's mom. The actress who plays Maddie's mom is really good.
Yeah, Kay. Yeah.
Yes, she's good.
Yeah, Kay Medford. Yeah.
Kay Medford kicks butt in this movie. I actually love the pants that Mattie is wearing in that scene. I like those pants. They're cute.
They are cute pants.
I was gonna say, this is a really cute little. It's a really cute little movie. It really, honestly, is a cute little movie. It's got its little imperfections, and I'm less here for Mattie and Alan than I am for the other aspects of what the movie has to say. But it's really enjoyable. It's really cute.
Yeah. It's good. We definitely, I think we would recommend it for those who want to get kind of a glimpse of this, especially kind of for Laverne and Shirley fans, and then for fans of When Harry Met Sally and Rob Reiner fans, because you see this very primordial version of what he ended up becoming. And I wouldn't even say a prototype, because this is the napkin version in some respects.
Yes. This is very, very, very early Rob Reiner when it comes to screenwriting. Very super early. He gradually develops and sophisticates his arsenal and ends up becoming the guy and the dude that we all know and love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a good time. Anyway, so hey, does that put us at ranking time?
I think it might. I do think it might. I would, by the way, recommend this to both anybody who loves TV movies of the era and to people who like Laverne and Shirley, and generally to people who are fans of Rob Reiner's work. All those people are going to at least be interested in studying what this movie puts forth.
I agree.
So I think it's time to rank.
All right. So we're gonna use our usual for anybody out there just joining us. We do a 0 to 10 scale. The scale being that 10 is perfect and 0 is we wish that it had been unknown, never created, that its creators had died in a burning ring of fire, and that perhaps they were burning in the 15 circles. Actually, we don't believe in hell. Why would even say? I wouldn't even say that. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, best and worst. 0 is worst. 10 is best.
Yes.
What are you thinking there, hon?
I'm gonna give this a good solid 8. Performance is cute. Period styling's good. Writing is good. It's not perfect, but it is worthwhile entertainment. That's just my little thoughts.
Nice. To tie it up, I would give it a 7. The weaknesses for me hold it back a little bit too much. Pacing takes too many hits. Filler montages were a bit annoying, but there's something very warm about it. There's something very familiar about it. And I really did especially enjoy on a second viewing. It captured the kind of like, I miss these personal love stories. You know, I feel like we need more of these again. Like, especially men being able to write these kinds of stories again. It feels like we're not allowed to anymore because of the market, because of the way irony and cynicism has infected our way of life to such a terrifying extent. And admittedly, I'm in different circles, but like I used to watch movies like this more regularly, and I miss them. And, you know, because I loved when I first watched When Harry Met Sally, I was over the moon for it. I loved it. And that was, God, almost 20 years ago that I first saw it. But it's gotten to the point where like this type of tenderness and vulnerability, not even superhero movies and adventure films really even do this kind of romance anymore. And I think we need to again.
Yeah. I was going to say that's why you enjoyed Moonstruck so much when I showed you Moonstruck.
Oh, yes. It was so good.
That's why I try to write that kind of romance and try to write that kind of feeling.
Which you do very well. Did you know my girlfriend's a great writer? She's a fantastic writer. You're gonna read her books someday. Oh yeah, you're gonna like them very much. Might even get into the Bookwives book club with the spicy Bookwives club thing that my friends do. It's real good. Anyway, you're so good. You're so talented.
Yes. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's what I try to strive for myself, because I get tired of that not existing in the world too.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, that's the thing. We write what we miss or what we want. That's the thing. But it's a good way. And yeah, cool. I guess that kind of wraps up everything. But yeah, as said before, if you would like to watch this film for yourself, or would like to watch it again, perhaps, maybe you watched it way back when, maybe you had a bootleg VHS of it or some such thing. It is on Crackle, which should be on most of the main streamer units like the Roku's, Amazon Fire, and things like that. I believe Crackle's on most of them. And it also is, and you mentioned it was on the Roku TV one as well?
Yes. There's definitely a Roku TV app for it, because that's how I watched it.
Yeah.
This time.
Nice. So, yeah, that's a way to get your hands on it. There is a DVD that circulates that they used to, I think it was like a print on demand, but I don't know if they print on demand anymore. It's from Sony Classics. It's a not great DVD. It's so cheap, there's no menu. There is one file, which is the movie, and that's it. But it's a decent transfer, and it shows up, pretty well. Sounds really nice and clear. Which also, we should also mention as a bunch of shooby-doo in this movie, because just like the first season of Laverne and Shirley, In the Still of the Night is basically the theme song of this film, to the point it is permeating the score throughout.
Yeah, there's actually an orchestral version of it. It's played over several scenes, and I'm like, oh geez.
Yeah, and like jazz reprises and all that. Yeah, it's a trip.
Yep. Yeah, definitely.
It's at that point I started to wonder, am I watching The Irishman?
Hey, if you're gonna shadoop, you gotta shadoop.
Shoo-boop-a-doo-be-doo. Anyway, so, cool. And with that, we'll have a
Yes.
quick word from our sponsors, and then we'll get to our little outro. Stick around. We got stuff to say. All right. And with that done, thank you again, everyone, so much for joining us. And if you would like to know more, please join us at Night After Night Pod on Facebook, Tumblr, WordPress, Patreon, YouTube, etc., or Night After Night PC on Twitter. We are mostly a Laverne and Shirley podcast. This was a special episode done for our fans. We are super thankful for the follows and the support. Any sort of anything is great. We will probably be doing these more from the point of Patreon or patron polls, but yeah, it was very cool. We thank you very much for voting for this. This was a good time, and we've got so this is now our third of these special episodes to do, and I think we got one more. So Lisa, cara mia, what do we have next?
Used cars with the big boobs, and the David and Michael playing new characters. And the Kurt Russell, so much young Kurt Russell, and Garrett Graham, baby.
Garrett Graham! Woo! Yeah.
And Jack Warden playing twins.
Playing twins, and there's a really cute dog, and there's a what's his name? El Guapo is in it.
El
yes.
Guapo is indeed, and a guy living in the airplane hangar. Retrofitted airplane.
Retrofitted airplane. Yeah, we'll get to that. That part didn't age very well.
Nope.
Yeah, anyway. Yeah. All right, cool. So hopefully you'll join us for Used Cars, the which also I think is like, isn't it like Zemeckis' second movie or something?
Yes. Very, very early in his career. Very early in his career, very, very early in his screenwriting career too, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, because it was done after 1941. So yeah. Right on. Okay, well, join us next time, you cool cats and swinging chicky babies. Laters.
Bye, y'all.